Okay, so I want to give you a tour of what I consider to be one of the coolest games I've played this year, without a doubt, and perhaps even one of the coolest games I've played in my entire lifetime. This is Cities Skylines, and for those of you who don't know, it's virtually everybody's heard of SimCity. And SimCity came out with two or three or four versions I believe, over the course of the last 25 years, and hit a bit of a stumbling block a few years ago with a version that wasn't so popular. And City Skylines has apparently taken up the mantle for the leading city simulator in the genre, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. Just for example, apparently the SimCity game wasn't really giving players much space to work in, but as I'm about to show you here, these cities can get pretty big, and that is very cool in a lot of ways. So let me zoom out here and show you what's going on. You can already see some of the cool stuff going on in the city here. But let me zoom out here now and show you what's going on in this amazing place that I call the Republic of Kimki. And look at this beautiful, beautiful city in the morning. It's a bit of a hazy day, it's not always a perfectly clear day. There's a bit of haze in the sky today, but see, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Right now in this city, I've got about 140,000 Sims living here. This area's got pollution. I think they do overdo it a bit, but it's hard to complain. Everything else in this game is so freaking amazing that, if they overdo it a little bit with the air pollution, I'll survive. But this game offers just about everything a city planner could possibly want in a game. It's just amazing. Just to take in a quick tour of this, I've installed quite a few mods. I just loved all the additional options. That's one of the reasons it's taken the mantle away from the SimCity franchise. One reason that City Skylines has become more popular is because of the tremendous flexibility it gave the community and mods. And I've used them here, not quite to the maximum, but I've certainly used them. One of my favorites is definitely Traffic Manager President's Edition. Gives you all kinds of interesting options with the traffic. So as you can see here, I put in some, a golf course with modded, downloadable golf holes. I've got all kinds of modded, community mods in terms of buildings. I've got all kinds of amazing stuff going on here. This is my downtown at the moment, with all kinds of awesome buildings. This one is almost a kilometer tall now. Scraped together from different great cities of the world. You might be able to recognize a few. A lot of them come from China now. It's interesting that China has revolutionized, really, skyscrapers. And I think they've got amazing architecture. I think some of the Chinese architectural firms have just got amazing minds working for them. One thing that's really cool about this game is you can assign different districts, and I've certainly taken advantage of that feature. I've got about 30 or 40 districts here that I like to micromanage, although most of the settings are the same, but not all of them. Here's my main park that reminds me of a park in Moscow called Vedinha, and it's got all kinds of amazing stuff going on in it. We've got museums and botanical gardens and places for musical entertainment, horse riding stables, skate parks, chess possibilities. I've got 2 metro stops in this park. We have 3. We got 2, I think. Tennis courts, churches, zoo, got all kinds of stuff going on here. So it is my favorite. It's my favorite park. It kind of based it on 2 things: Versailles and VDNH in Moscow. Because this is, I wanted to give this beautiful long boulevard view here. And there's the entrance to the park. Past this awesome statue. And then, great museums here, and even some military stuff going on. Look at this place is packed. This is the main entrance to the park in terms of the metro. It's the main metro stop here, and this place is always busy. Lots of stuff going on here, and it's strangely rewarding to have people, fake people, come to like your town and your main park and visit it. Oh, the haze is cleared up now. Look at that. What a beautiful view. Amazing. This street goes way through. Goes through the town here, past the Bundestag, which is where I like to imagine the business in town gets taken care of. And there's these canyons of steel and glass. Amazing. This was my big park for a while. And this whole city started over here. It was really it's amazing to think about where this started. It started with one road coming in here, and this was the main commercial area right here. This is about the main commercial area. This was the residential area, and this was the industrial area. But now it's been slowly ripped out and converted into a commercial zone because I didn't want to deal with too much pollution too close to my centers of living, my centers of population. So, like I said, I picked up a lot of interesting modded buildings from the community here that I feel made the place interesting. Oh, there's my Zeppelin flying through. This is supposedly a scale model of the Graf Zeppelin, which was, I think, about 30 feet shorter than the Hindenburg. But still, you get this is gorgeous. Looking at what a Zeppelin of old looks like flying through a city like this. This is now the year 2148, but I like to think we brought Zeppelins back. We've got a Zeppelin hangar over here near my airport. And I've added a fort as well from the very early 1800s or 1700s. I think it gives a nice feel to the river here. Put in a place where they would probably put it to protect the inlet of the river. Yes, this has taken all kinds of interesting planning, and let me show you some of the district ideas here. So this is a really cool feature of the game where you can zone different districts and you can have different settings for each of them, like tax settings, or whether you want to promote leisure activity, or whether you want to ban heavy traffic, or whether you want to give tax breaks to industrial or commercial or office space or whatever. I actually got a university that I put in here with all kinds of university buildings, although a few of them are turned off right now because I was trying to optimize my income, and some of these buildings I've found were just a bit expensive, cost prohibitive to let them operate at the moment the way they were. This is one of the greatest pieces of engineering here, in my opinion, the central train station. Or as I call it, the Hauptbahnhof, because I've got a bit of a German background and I'm a German citizen now. So it's the Hauptbahnhof, and what's amazing is, yes, the city on the surface is just an amazing place with so much stuff going on. People going about their mission, their errands and what they got to do, and buy things and go to work and go to their leisure activities. But check this out. Even more interesting, you can click on this button here and you can set up your transportation. So now this is what the transportation underneath the city looks like. This is my metro system, and this metro system is just insane. That you can set up a metros that are this involved. There aren't just. What's amazing is you can. In the original SimCities, people might remember this, but you couldn't build in curves, and you can only build in straight lines and 90-degree angles. But this thing lets you build in all kinds of curves. And what's really cool is, just like above ground, there isn't just one level to build on. You have all kinds of flex, especially with mods. If you add mods, you have all kinds of flexibility in terms of how high you're going to build these overpasses and bridges. You can change their height to the meter with mods. And just like that, if you look at what it looks like underground, oops. You can do the same thing with your metros. And this was just an amazing challenge, building a metro system that works, that wasn't impossibly clogged with too many trains and served the city properly. And I've got several lines. I think I've got like 20, 25 lines running through here, doing different things. I've got 2 huge ring lines. I've got lines cutting through the city. I've got lines extending. Here's the airport service line. There's a line that serves just the big park. I've got a line that comes out here and serves just Clive Heights and King of Prussia. That's the name of this town here, called King of Prussia, because in Pennsylvania there's a town called King of Prussia, and that name always, I was like, what the heck would anybody call a town King of Prussia for? And it was always a fascinating name, so I named it King of Prussia. Yeah, so I've got a line just for this part of town, that comes out here and brings everybody in to this central. This thing is growing to be more and more of a central station. It's right on the main park. And again, I told you I'm using mods here. And this mod, I'm using a mod which allows you to install metro stations which have multiple platforms and multiple levels. Because normally you can only install metro stations which have one stop. But I've installed one, this one actually has 2 on 2 different levels. But I've installed one, like here's a regular stop metro station. 1 level, 1 stop, boom, that's all you can do. But I've got this mod installed where I can put in metro stations with multiple levels and multiple tracks. Up to like 6, I've seen up to 6 underneath one metro station. So that's really cool, and it's very useful because it just gets too crowded sometimes. So yeah, I've got different lines coming into this, and this is what I consider to be my central metro station. And it's right in this main park here, where my government sits, where the seat of my government of the Republic of Khimki sits. Where am I? Here we go. Too much stuff. Anyway, so yeah, this is where the government of the seat of Khimki sits. This is actually a technical university, but we've got an opera house here, and the government of the Republic, and aquarium. So all kinds of cool stuff going on. Oh, you can set up your bus lines. I've got all kinds of bus lines, that run all over the city. But to me, the metro lines are more interesting just because of the interesting digging that goes on and all the ways you can put your metro system together. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So it's like the world's coolest train set. This was I can't believe how small this was 150 years ago. This was the Steve Jobs. This was the Steve Jobs Business Park, and it certainly has grown. I'm really happy with that. Just amazing. This is one of the more unique buildings I've discovered. It's just something that's called ploppable RICO. That means you can actually, RICO means residential, industrial, commercial, office. And, uh-oh, there's nobody living there? That is very strange. They're not very happy. It's a bad place to live for a few reasons. Fire hazard. They're not happy with the fire hazard, and they don't have enough services. So people aren't moving in here because there aren't enough services, and they've got a high fire hazard level. Pollution, let's see, noise. They're not too upset about the noise. They're living at a highway, but I put sound barriers up along the highway. So that's a bit weird, but I really do love this building. So I need to work on the desirability of living here, because there's a problem with that, and people will start moving in. Like, for example, consider this ploppable RICO. In this building, we got 43 children, 88 teens, 264 young adults, 224 adults, and 111 seniors in 181 households. The building has a capacity of 220 households, so it's not really full. But there's an example of ploppable RICO, and all these buildings are like that. So I've put down quite a bit of ploppable RICO, but not. There are vast areas where I don't try to micromanage how the space is going to be used and how high density it's going to be. But in places there are many places where I did micromanage it, like here, this area called Khimki. This area called Khimki has been micromanaged. This area called Krasnopresnan has been micromanaged. This area called Bauman has been micromanaged. But most of the city otherwise has not been micromanaged. I've let it develop with buildings, well, except for the downtown. I put in a lot of ploppable RICO and player mods into the downtown, into Evergreen Heights and Barlow Hills. But other than that, it's a pretty out-of-the-box city. With a few exceptions. So anyway, this is City Skylines, and I can't recommend it enough. If you like city building at all, or if you think you might like it at all, or if you ever had a train set or wanted a train set, this is the ultimate train set experience. And it's strange the satisfaction that it can give you just to create intersections that work. This was an absolute freaking nightmare in its earlier incarnation because of the massive delivery and pickup traffic I was getting in the industrial zones here. And to put something in here that worked was an interesting challenge. And this is the craziest intersection I've ever built in City Skylines. But it's worked, and I used to have traffic backed up to here. And in a future video I might put together how I solved this traffic mess. I might show you before and after pictures and how to get traffic circles to work, because I thought roundabouts were easy to put together, but I was wrong, and it took me many hours of gameplay to figure out how to program or how to create a traffic circle that actually works well. A roundabout, it's not really quite as easy as I thought it would be. There are three or four major tricks to get them to work properly. Oh, and then also I love the fact that you can select. Most of the city is in American or North American style, Canada and the United States style. But I actually have one, and then I've got some Russian high-rises. I like Russian high-rises. But you can see here I've got this one part of town where I actually set it to be the European style. So this is the European part of town for people who live in Europe or who want to build European-style towns. And this does look very European. I'm a German citizen, and I've lived in Germany for some time, and in other parts of Europe. And this gets my thumbs up for European style, that's for sure. Very cool. So anyway, there you have it. This is just my introductory video. I'm going to stop in and probably show you 2 or 3 videos on how to design parts of your city better and how to make them work based on the experience that I've gained in this massive building project. Very interesting. So thanks for stopping in. I hope you have a great day, and subscribe, like, and like I said, I'm going to be sharing a few tricks on how to get your cities to be built better and have your traffic flows better. It's been an interesting learning experience, and I want to help you on the learning curve. Have a great day. Bye.